As someone who is pursuing peace, trying to prioritize productivity over busyness, and trying to operate in favor and flow, I am definitely always looking for ways to calm the chaos. And I've discovered some. They are working for me in really unique ways and bringing out the better version of myself. So, in today's video, I want to share with you the ways that I'm learning to calm my chaos and make each day a little bit better. So, let's talk about it. Hi friends, welcome in. My name is Shannon and welcome to my channel, Shannon the Fifth. On this channel, we talk about all things womanhood. So from lifestyle and wellness to motherhood and career, we talk about it here. So if those are topics that interest you, then come on in, have a seat, let's talk. So in today's video, I want to talk about quieting the chaos. As a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, someone who's active in their community, all of those titles, all of those things can sometimes collide and create chaos. And just individually on their own, I think they're chaotic, right? There's always something going on. And I function better with calmness than I do with chaos. I used to thrive off of chaos. It's weird. It was like constantly being under pressure made me step up my performance. So I thought. But I was just turning chaos into high cortisol levels. I was constantly stressed. And I had to learn that the chaos wasn't creating the performance, just being a high achiever, just wanting to do really good in all of the roles all of the time drove the performance, not the chaos. But now, as I am pivoting my entire life from health and wellness to my career to just my daily functions, the things that I'm doing, the circles that I'm in, I find it imperative to find and maintain calmness. It is not easy. Sometimes it's not consistent, but I'm definitely seeking the calmness out of the chaos. And so I sat with this idea and I said, okay, what have I been doing that's actually working? What have I been doing that's been working to calm the chaos? And I came up with 6 things that I've been doing that have proven to work. Am I still a work in progress? Absolutely. I think that's what makes it authentic, is that I have not mastered calmness, but I am far, far better than I used to be. And so I want to share these tips with you. There are 6 tips. I have them right here on my notes. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. There are 6 tips, but a 7th one is lingering in the background that I think I forgot. So right now it's 6, could be 7. We'll see. But let's get started with the first one. So per usual, my first one is faith-based, and it is talk to God. I feel like when we talk to God, we have an opportunity to ramble, right? It doesn't have to make sense. It can go on forever. He knows our heart, so some of the things that come out may not be politically correct or something we would want other people to hear, but we just talk. That's not the calmness, right? That's getting it out. The calmness is when we listen, when it's God's turn to talk back to us. I think when God talks back to us, it automatically creates calmness. It's the only way we can hear his voice is through calmness, because God don't do all of that. He don't do all of that. So I think the number one thing is to talk to God. Get it all out, whatever chaotic thoughts you have or chaotic feelings that you have, get it all out by talking to God. And then once you get it all out, be still and let him talk back to you. And it's going to create this utter calmness. Oh, that reminds me, I just remembered the 7th tip. Hold on. Whew, that premenopause brain will get you every time. All right, on to tip number 2. So my tip number 2 is create a morning, afternoon, and nighttime routine. Now, I could have just summed it up and said a daily routine, but I think it's really important to distinguish those things. For me, chaos starts, it peaks in the morning, and it levels out during the day. I'm not a morning person. But creating those 3 segments of routines lets me kind of see, it's like a chart, right, with peaks and valleys, what my most chaotic moments are and what routine is dedicated to managing those peaks. So hear me out. For like my morning routine, my day starts early. I have 3 children that need to be to school all before 9:30 a.m. 3 different schools. And I'm not a morning person, so it's a lot. For me, it is, number 1, allowing myself to slowly get out of bed. I'm not a hit the alarm clock, feet hit the floor type of person. It gives me a headache. It stresses me out. So I set my alarm clock a little bit earlier so that I can slowly get out of bed. The next thing is, of course, morning hygiene in terms of washing my face, brushing my teeth, all of that stuff. But I also drink 8 ounces of water before I go downstairs. That is a part of my morning routine, is 8 ounces of water before I leave my bedroom. When I leave my bedroom, a very big part of my routine is letting the sunlight in, natural light in, even if it's gloomy. I lift all the shades as I come out of my bedroom downstairs, and that's a part of my wake up. That is the best alarm clock for me. The next thing I do is I light my diffuser. I put my scent of the day in my diffuser, and I light my candles. This is important to me. And then another part of my routine is sweeping my kitchen floor. I don't care if I swept it before I went to bed. For some reason, in the morning, the day doesn't start correctly unless I sweep my kitchen floor. So I do that. Then I make coffee. Coffee is, that's a part of the Holy Grail routine for me. And I have one of those coffee makers where I can set the alarm and it makes it by the time I get downstairs and all of that. But for me, the routine, the mechanism of picking the coffee and smelling it while it brews and hearing it, it just signals wake up. So that's a part of my morning routine that is Sunday through Sunday, like 7 days. This is what I do. My afternoon routine includes taking time out to watch a little TV, running to the grocery store, or going out for lunch. It's just a part of what I do. That's typically it for the afternoon. Like, I carve out time to purposely watch TV and go to the grocery store or step outside for lunch. It's just a thing. Nighttime is when I watch certain shows, and they're always reruns of my favorites before I go to bed. It is reading my book or reading my Bible passage. It is, of course, the skincare, the shower, all of those things. That's a part of my nighttime routine. My day starts off chaotic and slows down. So it's important that I slow down too. I slow down in my routines with it. Somewhere in the evening, I go to the gym. That's usually around the same time. That's an evening routine. But that's usually around 5 o'clock every day. I'm at the gym. So those things, to sum it all up, right, is come up with a daily routine. That's fine. But in your day, break it down in segments according to when your day is most chaotic, and then making sure that that routine supports that chaos by not making it more chaotic, but introducing calmness. So, number 2 is set a morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime, whatever it is, routine. On to the next one. My next thing to calm the chaos is to read instead of scroll. We're in an age where we are glued to our electronic devices. I am one of those people. So this is not a you. This is us, okay? We here. I'm glued to my electronic device too. But carve out some time to read outside of an electronic device. I love reading books. That's my thing. So I'll go to the library. I'll pick up a book from at home. If I have to be on my electronic device, I'm reading on my iPad. And that's usually what I use my iPad for note-taking or for reading. But read. Absorb words. Absorb ideas. Absorb characters. Like, absorb something outside of reality. What you like to read, that's totally up to you. But immerse yourself in words. Like, read the newspaper, magazines, whatever. Just read. I think words are weapons. Words are soothing things. Words just help your brain focus on something else besides what you're hearing and what you're thinking and what you're seeing. Words just speak differently. So I think in calming your chaos, try reading. And it doesn't have to be for long. You don't have to become a bibliophile. You don't have to become a nerd, a book nerd. But carve out some time to read your Bible. I mean, that's the easiest thing to just pick up out your house and read. But just immerse yourself in written word. It's a thing. Let's go on to the next one. So my 4th tip would be to find a healthy distraction. I don't know what your vice is. Everyone has a vice, right? You could be on the quest to make the perfect cup of coffee, right? Let that be your distraction, where every day you focus on trying to make the perfect cup of coffee and you're mixing this, that, and the other, all these toppings and sauces and syrups and milks, whatever, okay? A healthy distraction that allows you to just really deeply involve yourself into something besides your thoughts. And so what I mean by healthy is, if it's cooking, it doesn't have to be like healthy food, but just the mechanisms of hearing the chopping and picking out the ingredients and measuring, those things are healthy. Dancing, whether you're twerking or you're doing ballet, those things are healthy. What I mean by unhealthy are the things that could cause you to spiral or don't increase your character development. Okay? So that I'm not judgmental, I won't list unhealthy things. So, because that's very objective. It's very subjective of what's healthy versus unhealthy. But you know what's unhealthy for you, and what seems unhealthy for me might be healthy for you. So I'm not going to list a list of healthy versus unhealthy, but you know what to do. Whatever it is, it should be a healthy distraction that when you're done, when you've finished doing that thing, you feel better. You don't feel remorseful. You don't feel depleted. You don't have regret. And you're not going on an apology tour for how what you've done has hurt someone else or something else. So find a healthy distraction. On to the next one. So speaking of find a healthy distraction, I would say get lost in doing something new. I think when you're trying to calm chaos, when your brain sees panic, right, it's automatically like abort mission, abort. I think when you get lost in doing something new, a part of your brain turns into adventure mode and you just get more curious. You don't feel unsafe. You don't feel unsafe. You just feel curious. And so you're getting lost into doing something new. Whether when you're going for a walk, you take a different trail. When you're trying to learn a new line dance, right? You're so curious and trying to remember these steps and figure things out. You get lost in that. So your brain doesn't have a chance to spiral in a direction that you don't want it to go. It's not chaotic. Now, can you get frustrated? Yes. I think frustration and chaos are two different things. Can you feel overwhelmed? Yes. But you still have a chance to rein it in. You know, you can just simply turn the switch and say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, and go in a new direction. So I think getting lost in trying something new is, number one, a great way to create a healthy distraction. And number two, it helps to calm the chaos. On to the next one. So my number 6 is get going, move, get that adrenaline pumping, move around. For me, I think I've said this before in previous videos, I go to the gym regularly. A part of that is a lifestyle decision to lose weight, trim up, stay healthy, all of those things. The other part is lifting those heavy weights calms me, right? So it gets my adrenaline pumping. I'm curious about myself and how heavy I can lift, and I'm trying to be safe so I don't hurt myself. I'm moving my body in a very purposeful, intentional, and meaningful way. But all that adrenaline is being used for good. For you, it might not be the gym. It could be dancing. It could be going for a walk, going for a swim, whatever it is. Move your body. I think a lot of times what I used to do, and I know other people have done it as well, is when you feel chaotic, you retreat. So you tend to lay in the bed, curl under the covers, lay on the sofa, and not move. For me, that just helped chaos bloom. It got bigger and bigger because I'm sitting with all these chaotic thoughts. I don't have anywhere to move or to think. So I'm just trapped in chaos. Moving helps all of that go somewhere. You're dispersing energy. And I think that calms everything. Whether it's the sweat, the adrenaline, your heart pumping, your muscles hurting, all of these things are moving to your benefit in so many ways besides just the physical. It's releasing energy. It's releasing chaos. It's creating this system of calmness that tells your brain, hey, we have stored energy. We're going to use it in a great way. It's going to benefit her physically and mentally. So let's get going. So the next time you feel like everything is chaotic, instead of clamming up, becoming a tortoise and going into your shell, move. Get everything pumping and moving. So this is the one that I said, there was a 7th one lingering and I couldn't remember what it was. But when I began talking, it all came in. And so my final way to calm the chaos is to recognize maybe you're doing too much. You might be doing the most. You know, when you carry multiple titles, mother, wife, caretaker, caregiver, the chauffeur, the sister, the boss, the leader, the contributor, when you're carrying all these titles, especially as a woman, you tend to jump into superwoman syndrome. I know I do. I tend to jump into superwoman syndrome. And I want to do it all. And I want to do it all at the same time. And I want to do well in all of it. And it wasn't until those titles started being stripped in many layers from me that I realized I was doing the most. That's why I was so chaotic. I was doing the most. I would jump from one role to the next without a break in between. Like, it was double dutch for me, right? I'd go do a wifely duty and then immediately hop into mom, and then immediately hop into soccer mom, and then immediately hop on a call as a businesswoman, and then immediately show up to a meeting as a board member or a council member, and then immediately show up as a volunteer. Like, domino effect. I was doing too much. That's why everything was so chaotic. And though my intentions were good, which was to support everybody in everything, it wasn't good for me, and it was creating chaos. Once I sat with myself and recognized, girl, you are doing too much. And I started stripping those things, or saying no to certain meetings, or saying I need a beat before I jump into that responsibility. Calmness happened. I gave my nervous system a break. I gave my nervous system a chance to recuperate. I gave my mind a chance to just think of thoughts outside of my roles, just think of the birds outside and think of a cup of coffee, like things that didn't have any serious weight or pressure. When I started stripping the layers and simplifying and reducing, y'all remember math. Once I started simplifying and reducing my responsibilities and stopped doing the most, calmness was almost automatic. So I would say my 7th step would be to simplify and reduce and recognize that you're doing the most. All right. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that these 7 ways to calm the chaos work for you. I hope that they are helpful to you, or at least allow you to recognize that you need an intervention. You need to come up with some ways of your own to help you calm the chaos. Comment down below to let me know if you've tried any of the things that I've discovered and used for myself, or if you're interested in trying any of those things, or if you have some other methods that maybe I can learn from and try on my own. I'm still a work in progress. Very much chaotic. Not as chaotic though. Not as chaotic as I used to be. I'm a work in progress. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Do all the social things. And if you found this content valuable, please share it with your network or someone who needs to calm their chaos. Let's get these numbers up. Let's build this community, and let's continue to share good information. So until the next video, bye.